Hey everyone, happy Monday. Sawyer woke up. Sawyer's my youngest. She woke up this morning and goes, "Oh man, I thought it was Sunday. I hate Mondays." And I was like, "Stop. Mondays are good. We get to bless the home and get back into the routine of things." I thought it was Sunday. Welcome everyone. All right, just make sure you have a piece of paper, pen, and your oils, of course. All right. So tonight we are going to talk about breast health, and it's more of just a time, like a testimony time of sharing. So if there's something that's on your heart that you want to share or you want to ask questions, feel free to unmute yourself. Towards the end, we'll open it up. But, in our education group, we've been talking a lot about the cardiovascular system, heart health. And as we're learning, like each system is related to another one. I don't know if you got the email this morning. Dominique sent it out and did a great graphic on heart health and hormones, like oils that support heart health, oils that support hormones. And then in the middle is like a Venn diagram, the oils that support both, like that sweet spot. And she did an amazing write-up of like just heart health, hormones, and how, we're just so intricately designed. And tonight we're going to talk about breast health because, it is October and we see all the pink things around, right? And if you have gone through anything with breast cancer and you are a breast cancer survivor, like that is incredible and that's amazing. And I like praise Jesus. But tonight we're just going to talk more about the like breast tissue and the health of breast tissue, because I think, we should have a month where we're reminded, or a time of year where we're reminded to be like, oh, that's right, I really need to check in with myself. Maybe if it's every, once a month, but, and it's not just, feeling your boobies and, that's something you should be doing, but it's also being in tune with, okay, well, I'm just having a little soreness. I'm feeling a little pain. This isn't normal. I usually get this way when I'm stressed, just being mindful of your breast tissue, even at a young age. So tonight we have some members of our community. They're going to share their testimony. And I'm going to start off by sharing mine. So I would say 5 years ago, I was super stressed, trying to start two businesses, our oils business, and then also our Well Folk Revival, like starting all the classes up and just trying to do so much. And then also being a mom and homesteading. And I was running myself ragged, and it would happen every year. So this went on for maybe like 2 or 3 years, where every like October, November, when the temperature started to get cooler, I would notice I would get so tense on my right side, so breast area, but also in my back, my whole shoulder, like it would just tingle down my right shoulder. And it would get worse at ovulation. So knowing, like, I want you to be in tune with your body. Like, where do you feel the pain? Or is something it just feels off, right? And they always say, oh, lumpy breast, that's normal. I don't think that's normal. And we're going to talk, like my mom's going to talk about that tonight, like swapping things out. And you're going to notice a difference. But I would get so tense, and like I would not let anyone near me. No hugs, nothing. Like it was painful. And I was like, something has to change. I can't go on living like this. And so Melissa Stoltzfus, our diamond, she recommended thermography scans. Comment if you are familiar with thermography scans, just like yes, or raise your hand. Because I was only like 37, and I was like, this is ridiculous. I shouldn't have to be getting a mammogram. Plus, like I was in so much pain that I was like, well, there's no way, anything's getting squished in, that machine. And so I did something more non-invasive, and a thermography scan is, I'm going to share my screen with you, and then you can see where I go to get mine at. Let's see. Okay. So I go to Aqua Blue Wellness. The website is up here. And it's actually called DITI, D-I-T-I, Digital Infrared Thermal Imaging. And you can do this for anything, for pain. I mean, if you scroll down, if you go to their website, like here, thermal imaging for other medical concerns. But if you are getting it for breast health, it's really screening those beginning stages of breast disease, because cancer just doesn't start, right? It starts because there's an imbalance and there's a dis-ease in the body. And so there could be just diseased tissue where it's really inflamed. So if you see this one breast over here, I don't know if you can see that. Stop. Don't scroll. I don't know why it's scrolled. Okay, I'm just going to stop. Nope. It's not going to do it. Okay. Let me go back. Okay. If you can see where there is red, as you see all these body images, where there is red. Okay, now it's stopped. But this one side of the breast, right? See how it is really, really red? That is high inflammation on a thermography scan. White sometimes could be an indicator of diseased tissue, but these get sent off to a thermal imaging technician that actually knows how to read these. And the woman that does these imaging at Aqua Blue Wellness she was a naturopathic doctor. She is not anymore, just because of the risk of on naturopathic doctors. And they're not looked at very highly in the medical community. So she just wanted to be able to perform things on people and give them tools. And so what I was seeing was a lot of inflammation, and then over into the armpit, a lot of inflammation. And so everything came back normal, but she was like, you need to move the lymph. So I'm going to show you this next slide. I did lymphatic therapy, and I'm going to scroll down so you can see what this actually is. It was crazy. Like, you lay on a massage table. She has a biomat under you, which is bringing you high frequency. And it's something my mom uses in her practice with Raindrop. But these wands, they look like light bulbs, and you're hooked up, and she moves your lymph. And she said sometimes when your lymph is so clogged because your lymph system does not have a pump. And so that's where like jumping rope, rebounding, walking, dry brushing, those things really help move the lymph. But when we're stagnant and we're sitting all the time and not moving, and then under high stress, not breathing, it really sends our autonomic nervous system into like this fight flight. It creates high cortisol. Our lymph just becomes really stagnant. And so we got through the whole session, but sometimes she said some people's lymph are really, really clogged, where it just gets sticky and she can't move these wands. So I had that done, and that really, really helped. So that the thermal imaging, the lymph drainage, this lymph drainage, and then it was like a catapult, because then I was like, all right, now I'm going to take really good care of myself, because it's not just doing this stuff and then continuing to repeat bad habits, right? And so dry brushing, which I've talked about before, look up on YouTube how to dry brush. And if your dry brush is really tough, like some people are like, it hurts. It should be a soft bristle. It should not hurt you. And it's not like, you do not push hard. It's really light. It actually kind of tickles. It feels good. Like when someone kind of scratches your back with like their nails, but it should feel really good. And everything goes in towards the armpits, from belly button up, and then belly button down, and ankles up. It goes into the groin. Those are kind of where your ports are. And then the lymph goes into your liver, right? And then your liver drains into your colon, and everything should go out. So doing that and being proactive with actually taking time to care for your body, being in tune with what you're saying yes to, saying no. Like, I had to learn to say no and manage stress. So that's a big thing, because what Dr. Lori said at Aqua Blue, because I was under so much stress. She said, what happens is when you have high cortisol, she said it actually can eat tissue. Like if it's that high, and what it was doing was kind of eating my breast tissue and creating that inflammation. And I'm like, ooh, so really being mindful of your stress levels. If you need to take some extra, when you're stressed, extra vitamin B in your diet. So Super B is something that I started doing to help with my adrenals, to help replenish my B vitamin stores. And so supporting stress levels, supporting your hormones with B vitamins is crucial in high stress times, okay, as you're working on reducing that stress. And then multigreens is awesome. But Young Living came out with Ningxia greens, which is it's full of mushrooms. There's cabbage in here, lettuce, what else? Bamboo grass. There's kombu, which is seaweed, which adds iodine to your body, because your body's going to be depleted of iodine too when you're under so much stress. And actually, I don't know, Denise, we'll talk about your breast cream, but 1 second. Hey guys, can you be quiet a little bit? Thank you. They're playing a mad game of chess or checkers, I think. But I do a breast cream that has iodine in it, because if you're having breast pain, adding iodine, you know, to your areas where you're feeling tender could help with that tenderness. But the Ningxia green has that in it. It has kombu in it, which is seaweed, and seaweed has natural iodine. Mushrooms, if you research anything about mushrooms and the health, if you just eat 1 button mushroom a day, you are supporting your body, and it's like a super cancer fighter. It's just, mushrooms are incredible. And so those would be like the 2 nutritional supplements that I would recommend adding into your diet. Don't go overboard, you know, because then you don't know what's working, but start low and slow. But definitely manage that stress and just learning to say no to things. So I'm going to pass this over because we only have a few minutes, or, you know, just 30 minutes. But Denise, do you want to share your breast cream with us and kind of what made you start that?
Yes. You know, like you mentioned, everybody's talking about breast, you know, cancer awareness. I think we're all aware, and they want to make it look like early detection, get your mammograms, but nobody talks about being proactive and how we can, you know, because once you get to that point, then you're in the hands of the medical doctors, right? And who knows what can happen. So I just felt like I had nursed 4 babies. So I felt I don't have breast cancer in my family, which is only less than 5% anyway, as far as it being inherited. So, but I felt like I really didn't have to worry, but yet I still wanted to be proactive like I am with the rest of my health. So I started making this cream, and I just looked up some oils in my reference guide. And so I got an empty jar, and I just like melt some coconut oil and let it cool a little bit, because you don't want to put the oils in when it's like really hot. And then I mix it up, because what I feel is that we need to not always use the same thing all the time. We need to mix. So some of the oils I use, and these are all topically, like for breasts, they want you to put them on topically, are clary sage, geranium, cypress, which that helps with circulation, elemi or elemi, I don't know, how do you say that, Sarah? Elemi,
LMI. I know. I get
Hormone, and that's for inflammation. Fennel is one, lemongrass, sage, spearmint, and vetiver. And do you know there's actually oils that can help us enlarge and firm our breasts too, but that's for another day. So, but we know that cancer is something that we all have, that genetic disposition. I mean, it's happening all the time in our body. It's just that it doesn't always develop. So that's why these proactive things are really, really important. So I like to add oils that actually can be used when you have breast cancer, because I figure why not? I mean, those things are happening in our body all the time because of all the stressors that are happening. So of course I use frankincense, and I just got ledum in my kit that I had, my crazy oil thing that I earned. So ledum was one I didn't have. So you could take that internally as well. But I just feel like, why put it like, why not put it right on your breast, you know? Sandalwood, lavender, rosemary, clove. I always add clove. Clove is amazing. And some people add basil, and there's other oils too, but I kind of stick with like lavender, rosemary, frankincense, lemongrass, clove, geranium. Sometimes I'll just add patchouli because I just like that. So you could kind of mix it up and look in your reference guide, like what oils specifically support breasts, because I just feel like it's something we need to be proactive about, like everything else in our health. Why wait until we have a problem? It doesn't mean we're not going to maybe still have a problem, but why not do things that are going to promote that healthy cells, because our cells are constantly changing and we're constantly exposed to things, stressors that can cause inflammation in our body, that can lead to cancers. So do all the things that can help our bodies to stay well, and you know, try to get rid of some of that inflammation in our body. So yeah, so that's what I've been doing. I take a shower at night and I do my, you know, face. I use the Beauty Boost, and then I always have this little jar in the bathroom and I just rub it on my breasts, you know, right after my shower. And it's just something I automatically do.
That's awesome. Yes. Getting to that routine and having those things like in view so you remember them, you know, like I keep my dry brush like right on my dresser. I make something similar, Denise. I just use longevity oil, but I like the fact that you can mix things up, because yes, you know, mixing it up, and so your body just doesn't get used to it, which with the oils they don't, because every batch is different, has different properties, but it's still good because there's so many different oils that support cell health, breast health. And then, yeah, adding that, you know, doing that every day. And I think the other thing that you said is like, we have cancer cells, everyone does. We have the choice to turn them on or keep our body, you know, in a healthy balance, right? And so I'm gonna pop over, Mom. I'm gonna have you share your testimony. Are you available, Tracy Miller? Let's see if she's available. If not, there she is.
You hear me? Hi.
I can hear you. Yep.
Oh, my testimony. Well, I don't even know. Gracie's how old now? 13?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably about, I'd say probably 15 years ago. I was having a lot of trouble with lumpy breasts, a lot of pain in my armpits, in my breasts. And I go to the doctor and he says, my OBGYN, lumpy breasts are generally healthy. Well, that was not the truth, but I kind of just believed that. And yeah, that was not the case. But anyway, there was just a lot going on. That was a time when, you know, I was approaching 50. There was a lot of hormonal changes. I was also the candle queen, the plug-in queen. This was before Sarah got involved with Young Living, and then I got involved along with her. So yeah, just cleaning up all of that was really huge. And that was hard because it took me a little while to believe in that, because I had years of believing everything that I was told. And so it was a big shift to, you know, get rid of plugins, get rid of candles, even ingredients in food, just looking at things so differently. Probably the biggest thing was, because I don't really wear makeup and perfume, but I do like the smelly good stuff, was getting rid of no deodorant. I went just totally no deodorant because a lot of the issues I had were in that area, the armpit area, tenderness and the sides of my breasts. But that just really made a big difference. Getting rid of fragrances in your products in your home. I always had to buy the cleaning products that smelled the strongest, so it smelled like your house was clean. Like those things were just so destructive. But it took time. But I had my book open here, and it was really interesting because all the years I have these books, I never looked at this. I looked up the emotion attached to breast health. And I'm sitting here going, wow, all this time I never saw this. It is denying individual worth, feels conflicted. Oh, wait, no, not nurturing yourself is the biggest one. Conflict of worthiness. So yeah, how crazy is that? And all those things were going on at that time because we were heading into midlife. It's just, there's just so much going on in our heads. There's so many things. You see a lot of women that go through a lot of like changes when they hit midlife. They decide to go back to school. They decide to change careers. You go through times of, you know, just taking care of your children. And then what are you going to do, you know, in your life after? Like I was going through what am I going to do without kids at home, you know, kind of thing. And just all those, realize that my self-worth was in raising children, and what else was I going to do? So yes, just a lot of reevaluating yourself. There is a really huge emotional component to breast health. It's very large, and it's very much centered in nurturing, and it is kind of the life center of our body. So we take a lot on in that area emotionally. So, and we talked about this some years back. We did a class at Sarah's house, and there had just been a study that had come out on this from a doctor, and I have the information somewhere, but it was so interesting and it was a study that was done in another country that they're really proactive with, you know, health in a different way. But it was very much rooted in the emotional health and our breast health, and it on the nurturing end of things. And yeah, it's really interesting. But yeah, just swapping out, going to using the oils and finding
And
I really
also-
didn't need that deodorant.
And also, I remember your story of you were going to more of a holistic doctor then, as you were, you know, learning, and you found a pamphlet on cruciferous vegetables and how they're like, they help bust xenoestrogens, right? They're like magnets. Cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, kale, cauliflower, all the things that are in like the greens, right?
Yep.
And take those xenoestrogens and really help balance out estrogen in your body.
Yeah, it was a pamphlet. It was explaining the xenoestrogen, what it was, and how when eating cruciferous vegetables bind to the bad estrogen and remove it from the body. So I'm all excited about this, and it was my turn to go back to the doctor. And I bring this up, and he says to me, no, I don't know about that. And I said, well, this pamphlet's in your waiting room. Because no, I showed him the pamphlet. He goes, well, where did you get that? And I said, in your waiting room. So I was a little like, I just, at that point, I questioned the integrity of the particular practitioner, because I thought, if you're promoting these great things in your waiting room and you don't know what's out there, what else is in the waiting room? I don't know. You know, it was just kind of a strange thing. But yeah, it was definitely some years of just changing everything, just becoming more in tune to my body, learning what to trust, who to trust, what not to trust. But yeah. And so when I had to meet with a surgeon over my healthy lumpy breasts, and I told her that's what my doctor told me. She was just appalled. What? She said, that should never be told to any woman because that is not true. So that was interesting. So yeah.
Yeah.
So you kind of sever all ties with that doctor and then the other doctor, and it's a journey finding a practitioner that you can really trust and really understands what's happening.
And you have to be your own advocate, and really, like, you really did a lot of diving in and learning on your own and swapping out, and you had to do that on your own and being in tune with your emotions. I love that you had your emotion books out, because Mom, I had them out too. So you already shared that, but yes, really being in tune with your emotions, because, you know, like we shared last week, the brain holds the memory, the body stores the emotion. And so, yeah. And I mean, you had a mammogram done and still had, you know, some issues arise. And Sarah's going to talk to us. She had her first mammogram. I've never had a mammogram. And, you know, and there's pros and cons to it. The thermography is very non-invasive. If you're not at the age yet where you need to get a mammogram, or have the need to get a mammogram. And you can do both too. So Sarah said she would share the experience, because if you've never had one, like I've never had, like, what do you experience? That's okay. You take your time. I'm going to talk about thermography a little bit, and I'll wait till your little red button comes off. So thermography is, there's no radiation with it. So you will not have radiation exposure with thermography, but you literally sit on a swivel chair. And for me, I was getting a breast exam. And so if you do it, you know, if you do upper body, like your head or your lower body, you would just be without like a shirt, and you have to go like this, and then she turns you and you have to put your hands up and she checks underneath, and then you turn around and she checks your back. But it's just pictures, and it's so non-invasive. And then she sends it off to someone that reads it, and then you get them in the mail, and it's incredible. And then you have a baseline. And then I went again, and I could see the improvement year after year. So I should probably do it again. I haven't done it for a while because I haven't had pain, but just because you don't have pain doesn't mean there's something going on. So Sarah, you got it working. Go ahead.
Yes, right. I'm on my phone instead of my computer. I'm like, where's the button? Yeah, so my experience, just turning 40 a few months ago, of course, my gyno in September, I had that appointment, and she was like, okay, you're 40 now, so it's time to get this appointment. And I'm like, oh yeah, great. So I did my first mammogram a couple weeks ago, and they found that my breasts were dense, and they were like, it's not really alarming. Most women have dense breasts, is what they said. And, you know, I did the whole machine thing. And then I went back a week and a half later, and they said, we want to look again. So I went back and they did another scan, and then they said, well, we want to do a little bit more. So while I was there, they said, you know, give us 2 hours because we might want to do an ultrasound. So then I did an ultrasound. And at the end of the day, my situation is so much gray area that they were like, we'd like to lean more towards doing a biopsy. So then now they want to schedule me for an appointment to sit me down and talk to me about the biopsy. And then my fourth appointment would be going in and getting the biopsy. So it feels like a long process but they're not worried about it. And if I didn't do the biopsy, then I would come back in 6 months and do a follow-up checkup. But the thing I'm running to in my situation is it's very expensive. And because my insurance, I have insurance. I don't think it's the best insurance, but regardless, like the doctor's ordering this, so I'm falling into a place where like it's thousands of dollars to do these things, and it's like a gray area. So and then I also heard that in the sit down appointment before the biopsy, they talk to you about putting a titanium like pellet in you, so when they scan you again for a mammogram, they can find these spots easier.
Mhm.
I have a friend that's pretty natural, holistic as well, and she said that she opted out of doing that, and then the technician basically said, well, you're making my job harder. And she said, I don't want something foreign in my body, you know? So I'm just saying that because that's something that I'm thinking about doing too, is not getting this titanium thing in my breast. But so I'll probably go through with getting the biopsy done to kind of rule out any like questionable areas. But it's been really interesting to it's been an emotional process. Speaking of emotions, so it's like they kind of sit you down and it's like emotional charging already because they're like, I think we might see something, but we're not too sure. um it's interesting, I posted about my appointment yesterday to promote this class tonight because I think these things are important. And one of my friends that's a nurse, she messaged me and said that this has been her experience. She's 37, and she actually was talking about how she requested to do an MRI. So I was talking to my doctor about that today, and they just told me um, that's not something that you would see more in an MRI. So it's just like a lot of digging, a lot of advocating, like you said, and just like um, getting information and trying to figure out um what this is. And I think emotions do play a huge part of it. So but I also have some genetic stuff too. Like my mom has had um dense breasts, and she's had some cysts and fluid packs and stuff like that. So just knowing like your background and information is helpful too going into this stuff. Denise, I think you had a question, but I missed it.
Let's see.
Yes, did they do a diagnostic mammogram? Like, because years ago I had a mammogram, something seemed questionable. Then they did a diagnostic mammogram.
I don't know. Maybe that's what it's called. Again, this is so new for me. It might be.
Okay.
Mhm.
But I also asked, I was on the, I was on the phone with the insurance people today, and I said, look, like my ultrasound was like over $1,000, and this is something a doctor ordered me to do because they think there's a problem. So I'm not sure why it's so much money. Like, why isn't this covered for a woman? And again, my insurance is Aetna, so it's like, like I don't know, okay of insurance, but the way my coverage is, I don't know if they have to do like a certain code or whatever. So she told me she was gonna rerun it and that it shouldn't be that much. But anyway, so I'm in like the process of like just like trying to advocate for myself, trying to learn more about this because it's so new, and then also realizing like, okay, I've done breast, like there's some questionable areas, but trying not to be too alarmed by this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, and the more mammograms you have in a shorter, it takes like 18 months, I think, for the radiation to dissipate. And so having them
Yeah.
so close, you're having all that radiation. I'm not saying one way is better. But I know like the thermography scans can detect, people say it doesn't, but it can detect early signs of diseased tissue. Which those are only $125. I mean, they may have gone up since I've had them, but something to go, like maybe have 2 things to go off of, right? If Robin said
Yeah.
we're thinking about getting it done too, because it not just detects, like mammograms detect cancerous like areas, right? Or problem areas. Whereas the thermography detects like the health of the tissue, the inflammation, where there's dense areas, even where there could be that diseased tissue. And so it just could be something else to have in your back pocket, because you're just
And I
questioning
could
all of that.
probably, if I did the thermography, I could probably use like my HSA or something. But yeah, it's just like, it's one of those things where I'm like, at the age where I need to learn more about this stuff so I know which route to go.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you're doing all the other right things, like with the oils and the supplements and proactive things. One other thing that I didn't mention was castor oil packs. If you do have dense, lumpy breasts or cysts, we have like 3 minutes, so I'm going to fly through this. But castor oil, it's really sticky oil. You want to get a hexane free. I like to use Juvaflex or Ledum or some oils that are detoxifying and cooling, and I add that to the castor oil when I put it on the wool felt piece of material. And you can get these off Amazon or the health food store. And people put them over their liver, they'll put them over their ovaries if they have cyst on their ovaries, but women will put them on their breasts too. And then you can wrap it with like another towel, and you can do that to help with dense cysty breast tissue. So that's another tool in your toolbox. But yeah, if you guys we have like just 2 minutes left. So if you have specific questions, you can reach out to me. Ask me anything, ask Denise, Sarah, Tracy, and we can take this further. This was just like I want you guys to just open eyes, have some tools in your tool belt, start questioning, thinking about the emotional component, thinking about your hormones, what season of life are you in, your stress levels, all those things. Be really in tune with your body, because it's more than just pink ribbons, right? It's more than, cancer research. Why don't we have the answer, right? I think we do have the answer. It's being in tune with our body and really getting rid of a lot of that junk, right? Those chemicals that can overburden our body. Getting in tune with our emotion. So doing those things, right, is you being proactive, right? You guys are awesome, and you are, thank you for sharing your stories. Go ahead, Mom.
I just want to say to Sarah, please private message me, please, because that dense stuff can be gone. I do not have dense tissue anymore, and you really need to fight for yourself for that ultrasound. That should be fully covered.
Yeah, that's why I called them today. Yeah.
Because that's part of the mammogram. That is the follow-up. That's the diagnostic part of the mammogram, is when they follow up with that. But yeah, just fight it.
Yeah,
I know you
message my mom. Her story is incredible. So yes, blessings to all of you, and we'll see you next Monday night for our brand partner call on just how to plan out content, right? How to be organized and not super stressed, and do some planning. You guys have a great week. Take care.
Thanks. See you guys.
Yeah.
Bye, girls.
Bye.